934 Riverview Boulevard. I've been to a few of these meetings, and so far after everyone, I've been so disappointed in the lack of cooperation and respect amongst everyone, including the ones behind me. I've sat and listened. I've read through a lot of the arguments about the morality of marijuana use and the fear that a lot of you may have in the commerce of marijuana, when in reality, I think these arguments are irrelevant. For example, with morality, the federal passing of same-sex marriage rights like this one, morality is subjective. As cultural norms change and privileges and rights protected, what you may think is right or wrong is of no importance to me, so long as you and I are not harming one another. But with change, it is obvious that fear and opposition will be a result. But the real evil I see here is ignorance. Some of you probably are aware that there was a couple from the Valley arrested for giving marijuana to their child. The reasoning, according to this article, was to calm his tantrums. My first thought was, great. Some of those that read this will probably jump to the conclusion that this is even more reason to oppose and blame the plant. I don't believe that this is that example. I believe this is an example of irresponsible inexperience and stupid parenting. I absolutely believe that any minor should not be allowed in being able to use marijuana unless they're under supervision of a doctor. But I was raised in an era that believed Benadryl was okay to give a kid to calm them or to help them sleep. Neither situation by any means is right, and unfortunately children die often in the U.S. by drug overdose with over-the-counter drugs. But we don't put restrictions on Tylenol, ibuprofen, and so on. Why is this? Because children ultimately are the responsibility of their parents. And although as a parent, I appreciate the council for their genuine concerns for my children, I do not appreciate the fear that kids will be a victim to the legalization of pot. It questions my ability as a parent, and it sounds like an excuse. When in the 7 years living here in the Valley, I've seen very little done for these kids. High schools are literally falling apart.
3 minutes.
This 3 minutes?
That's 3 minutes.
Okay. Are literally falling apart, and school programs are being canceled due to lack of funding. Public education should be your primary concern when it comes to the safety and concern of my kids. But even with all that, the real issue I believe we are experiencing is the poor quality of our city political practices. The lack of professionalism and respect is so apparent during these meetings. I will share with you a political belief that Mohandas Gandhi wrote. He says that there exist 7 social sins. 1, wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, commerce without morality, science without humanity, worship without religion, and most importantly for you guys, politics without principle. He says that politics without truths to justly dictate the actions create chaos, which ultimately leads to violence. He calls this passive violence, which fuels the active violence of crime, rebellion, and war. This is what I believe some of you are guilty of and what we are experiencing today when it comes to this issue. I'm not asking you guys to change your views or opinions on marijuana. What I'm asking you is to respect my values, my opinion, and my right by respecting my vote. I'm also asking you to fulfill your duty as a political representative of the people of the city of Clarkston, that we have fought long and hard in this country for the right and freedom to vote. And some of you are negating our votes. And I will leave you with this quote by one of my favorite U.S. presidents, Ronald Reagan, which he says, "Freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same." Thank you.